Welcome to Smart Updates, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you are new here, do not forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an update. Are you concerned about rising tensions in Asia? You need to hear this. The South China Sea is heating up, not just from the sun, but from a surge in military and diplomatic tensions that threaten to reshape the region. A new and dangerous standoff is unfolding, drawing in global powers and raising the stakes for everyone involved. Beijing has issued a stern warning to Manila, demanding an immediate halt to joint military drills with the U.S. and Japan, or else face what it calls serious consequences. This warning is not just rhetoric, it's backed by a show of force and a clear intent to assert dominance. This is more than a neighborly spat, it's a major geopolitical flashpoint, with the potential to draw in multiple nations and disrupt global trade routes. China claims almost the entire South China Sea, citing historical maps and strategic interests, despite international pushback. Over the past decade, China has built artificial islands and fortified them with military bases, radar systems, and airstrips, all to enforce its sweeping territorial claims. The Philippines, feeling the pressure, has responded by deepening its alliance with the United States, conducting more frequent and larger-scale joint military exercises. At the same time, Manila has forged new security ties with Japan, signaling a broader coalition determined to resist Chinese expansion. These joint drills are a clear message. Manila won't be bullied in its own backyard, and it's willing to stand up for its sovereignty. As of November 2025, rhetoric on both sides is sharper than ever, with headlines warning of a possible confrontation. China calls the drills a provocation and threatens resolute countermeasures, including increased patrols and even the possibility of direct action. The Philippines, however, insists on its right to conduct exercises in its own waters, citing international law and the need to defend its territory. This is a classic unstoppable force meeting an immovable object, with neither side willing to back down. At stake is the future of Asia. China wants dominance and control over vital sea lanes and resources, while the U.S. and its allies are determined to maintain a free and open Indo-Pacific, where international rules are respected. For China, the growing U.S. military presence is seen as a direct challenge to its authority and a threat to its ambitions. For the Philippines and its partners, international law, not military might, should rule the seas, ensuring peace and stability for all. These two competing visions are now colliding in the waters west of the Philippines, an area critical for global commerce and regional security. The world is watching closely, anxious to see who blinks first, or if a single miscalculation could spark a conflict that no one truly wants. The stakes have never been higher, and the next move could determine the balance of power in Asia for years to come. To truly grasp the gravity of this crisis, we must first understand the key players and what drives them. The South China Sea is more than just a body of water. It's a crossroads of power, ambition, and national pride. China, the region's largest and most assertive power, claims nearly all of the South China Sea, drawing a so-called 9-dash line that sweeps across the map. To enforce these sweeping claims, Beijing deploys its Navy and Coast Guard, building artificial islands and military outposts to project strength and control. The Philippines, with its long, vulnerable coastline and deep historical ties to these waters, has fought back through legal means. In 2016, it won a landmark international ruling at The Hague, which invalidated China's expansive claims. Yet Beijing refuses to recognize the verdict, leaving Filipino fishermen and coastal communities caught in the middle. The United States, a treaty ally of the Philippines and the region's self-declared security guarantor, insists on upholding freedom of navigation. Washington's commitment is not just about treaties, it's about maintaining open sea lanes for global commerce and deterring unilateral changes to the status quo. U.S. warships regularly sail through these contested waters, conducting freedom of navigation operations that directly challenge China's claims and assert international rights. Japan, a major maritime nation and economic powerhouse, depends heavily on these sea lanes for its trade and energy supplies. Any disruption here could threaten its economy and energy security. While Japan itself has no territorial claims in the South China Sea, it faces its own maritime disputes with China elsewhere. As tensions rise, Tokyo is deepening security ties with the Philippines, providing patrol vessels and training to bolster regional defenses. The growing partnership between the US, Japan, and the Philippines is causing deep concern in Beijing. Chinese officials see this as a coordinated effort to contain their influence and challenge their ambitions. This trilateral alignment marks a new and significant development in the region's security landscape, signaling a united front against unilateral actions. For China, this emerging alliance is viewed as a direct threat to its long-term strategic goals and its vision of regional leadership. Meanwhile, the US and its allies argue that their cooperation is essential for maintaining regional stability, deterring aggression, and upholding international law. The stakes could not be higher. Regional order, security, and the very rules that will govern Asia's future are all on the line in this high-stakes contest. The collision course is set, and the world is watching to see who will blink first. These military exercises are not just for show, they're large-scale operations to boost real combat readiness. The annual Balikatan drills bring together thousands of US and Philippine troops for everything from amphibious landings to live-fire exercises. Recent drills have shifted focus to external defense, including sinking mock enemy ships and recapturing islands. The inclusion of Japan and Australia adds new capabilities and sends a strong message to Beijing. For the Philippines, these drills are vital. Its military is outmatched by China, so training with US and Japanese forces is essential. The exercises demonstrate that the US-Philippines alliance is credible and ready. Japan's participation creates a trilateral dynamic that China finds especially threatening. These drills are a deterrent, signaling that aggression against the Philippines could trigger a wider conflict. Manila is determined to continue, despite China's warnings. The drills are a line in the sand. China sees these joint drills as direct provocations, not merely defensive moves. To Beijing, the presence of foreign militaries so close to its borders is a clear signal that its rivals are willing to challenge its authority and test its resolve. These exercises are not just routine maneuvers, they are interpreted as deliberate shows of force, designed to send a message to China and its leadership. Beijing believes the US is building an anti-China coalition, using its allies as pawns in a larger great power contest. From China's perspective, these alliances are not about regional security, but about containing China's rise and undermining its influence in Asia. Drills near Chinese-claimed waters are viewed as violations of sovereignty and direct challenges to China's territorial integrity. Each maneuver near disputed islands is seen as an attempt to undermine China's claims and embolden its rivals. China rejects the Philippines' exclusive economic zone and the 2016 arbitral ruling, insisting that history and long-standing presence give it rightful control over these waters. Beijing sees international legal decisions as biased and influenced by Western powers. In Beijing's eyes, US and Philippine navies are conducting war games in what it considers Chinese waters. This is portrayed domestically as a direct affront to national pride and security. The involvement of Japan is especially provocative, reviving old animosities and deep-seated fears of Japanese militarism. Memories of past conflicts still linger, making Japan's participation a sensitive and emotional issue for many in China. The US-Japan-Philippines triangle is seen as a major threat to China's regional ambitions. This growing partnership signals to Beijing that its neighbors are uniting against it, potentially isolating China in its own backyard. China wants to be Asia's undisputed leader, with smaller neighbors deferring to its interests and recognizing its central role in regional affairs. Beijing's vision is one where its influence is respected and unchallenged. These drills bring American power closer to China's doorstep and embolden countries like the Philippines to resist Chinese pressure. The presence of US forces reassures China's rivals and encourages them to stand firm. If China can intimidate Manila into backing down, others in the region may follow suit. Beijing hopes that by demonstrating strength, it can discourage further resistance and assert its dominance. This is a test of China's ability to impose its will and shape the regional order. The leadership sees these confrontations as opportunities to prove China's resolve both to its people and to the world. The stakes are about more than territory. They're about who sets the rules in Asia, who commands respect, and who shapes the future of the region. Control over these waters means control over trade, security, and influence. Beijing is determined not to back down. For China, this is about national pride, historical legacy, and its vision for the future of Asia. China's warnings to the Philippines are escalating with real threats behind them. First, there's economic pressure. Beijing could cut trade, cancel projects, or restrict imports. Second, gray zone tactics. China increases Coast Guard and militia presence, blocks Philippine ships, and uses water cannons or lasers, all short of war. Third, the threat of direct military action. China hints it could seize disputed reefs or forcibly remove Philippine troops. Any major escalation could trigger the U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty. China is betting Manila, or even Washington, will back down to avoid war. The real test is alliance resolve. Is defending a small shoal worth risking a wider conflict? The answer will shape the region's future. China's strategy is calculated risk and coercion. The Philippines faces a critical choice. Tensions are no longer theoretical, they're playing out at sea. In the past year, Chinese ships have blocked, shadowed, and used water cannons against Philippine resupply missions at Second Thomas Shoal. A Chinese Coast Guard vessel even used military-grade lasers, temporarily blinding Filipino crew. China claims these are defensive actions. Manila calls them violations of international law. Rhetoric is escalating, with Chinese media warning the Philippines is playing with fire. The Philippine government vows not to be intimidated. These incidents are now routine, a deliberate Chinese strategy to assert control through constant pressure. For those on the front lines, every encounter risks a dangerous miscalculation. This standoff isn't just about two countries. It threatens the entire region. If China can coerce the Philippines, other Southeast Asian nations may be next. The South China Sea is a vital trade route. Any conflict would disrupt global shipping and economies. The risk of miscalculation is high, with so many military vessels in close quarters. A single incident could trigger the U.S.-Philippines Defense Treaty, risking a clash between nuclear powers. The stakes are global: peace, trade, and the rules that keep Asia stable. The world is watching and worrying. The nightmare scenario is a war no one wants. The need for restraint and diplomacy has never been greater. The Philippines and China now face stark choices. Manila could back down, but that would embolden China and erode its sovereignty. Or it could double down, expand drills, and rally allies, risking stronger Chinese retaliation. For China, continued escalation could backfire, driving neighbors closer to the U.S. and risking unintended conflict. Alternatively, China could de-escalate, agree to real rules, and repair its regional image. Both paths carry risks and require tough decisions. The future of the region depends on whether leaders choose confrontation or compromise. The next moves by Manila, Beijing, and Washington will echo for decades. The world waits to see which path they choose. The stakes: peace or peril for Asia. The South China Sea is at a crossroads: confrontation or cooperation. The risk of miscalculation and conflict is real and rising. Dialogue and crisis management are urgently needed to prevent disaster. A lasting solution must be built on international law and compromise, not force. The choices made now will shape Asia's future for generations. The hope is that wisdom prevails over nationalism. The South China Sea should unite, not divide, the nations of Asia. The pursuit of peace is not optional. It's essential for the world.